Welcome to the Heartbeat of Mother Earth Summit. I'm your host, Jocelyn Mercado, and I am very happy to have on the summit today, Ronna Prince. Welcome, Ronna. Thank you so much for participating.
Hi, Jocelyn. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Ronna Prince is an intuitive counselor, a master numerologist, and an award-winning filmmaker. She is certified and licensed in Aura Soma, Heart Math, Brain Tech, Radical Forgiveness, and has created her own process of transformation in a program she trademarked entitled Modern Mastery, Codes from the Soul and Keys to the Heart. Her latest contribution to evolving consciousness is to teach about the 12 chromatic chakras in our subtle human anatomy. As she says, 7 is an outdated and incomplete system. At age 13, Ronna experienced a profound spiritual awakening during a potentially life-threatening illness. During this time, she was told that she would be called to share her gifts with people to help them heal. This calling came in 2003 when she was instructed to leave her career in finance and become a spiritual counselor. Through her research and in-depth studies in metaphysics, Ronna created a step-by-step personal growth process that she trademarked as Modern Mastery. Through Modern Mastery, she guides clients through the process of transition, helping them create a new reality that aligns with their unique purpose and gifts. The latest addition to Ronna's programs is the Triple Heart Healing Technique that accesses hidden healing energy in the body to let go of challenges and embrace peace. In 2009, Ronna founded Global Wholeness Corp, and as part of the nonprofit mission of this organization, Ronna wrote and produced Sacred Journey of the Heart, an award-winning film documenting the science, spirit, and healing capabilities of our heart, proving that we are all connected. Ronna is an experienced workshop presenter and group leader to sacred sites around the world. And so our topic today is the Triple Heart Healing Technique, and I'm so excited to learn more about this, Ronna. So could you start out by telling us a little more about your experience when you were 13 years old and how has that impacted your life?
Well, it's a good place to start, even though it goes way back after all the things you described have been doing these last few decades, but it really is a fundamental thing. And, you know, I've had a great time listening to so many of the speakers on your event, and there's a kind of a common thread that goes through a lot of us. At some point, we had a very powerful mystical awakening, and for myself it happened at age 13, and a lot of things were going on in my life, and across the boundaries of every 7-year cycle, 0 to 6, 7 to 13, 14 to 20, when we have important events during those times in the 7-year cycles, which are part of the evolution of our consciousness and our energy, they create an opportunity for us to have experiences to define what the next 7 years will be like. So when I was 13 years old, a couple things were happening. I grew up in a household of musicians. I want to say magicians. I'm going to call it a magician with numbers. But we were all involved in music, but we had a big secret behind the scenes, and that was that my dad was a pedophile. And so we had this one facade on the outside, normal, happy family, going to church, sitting in the front pew, performing in front of the audience, and behind the scenes, you know, a lot of really dark things were happening. And what happened is when I was 13, that particular abuse stopped. Didn't make any sense to me. I didn't know why. I didn't know if it was going to happen again. But as a result of that, if you understand energy and emotion in the body, I had such anxiety, my body created a disease from it. And I had a tumor that was growing on my back, and I kept reaching around, you know, about 50 times a day, you know, am I imagining this? And I couldn't tell anybody, because you learn the rules in a household like that. One of them was do not talk about the body, whatever. You can't even have a stomach ache. So I lived like that for 6 months because of the anxiety, not knowing if I was going to live or die. And not being able to tell anybody about it, because I had many experiences and of telling and getting in trouble for telling. So I learned about that along the way. And I was praying one night in my room because I figured I'm dying. I heard my parents talk about cancer and people, I mean, 17-year-old girl died and I was going to die, but I couldn't figure it out because I could already see that I was going to grow up and have 4 kids. I would travel the world. I would do interesting things. And I knew that. There are certain things I just knew growing up, and it came along with a lot of other intuitional knowing, so it didn't make sense. So I was praying in my room, like, you know, with my full heart and every bit of my being, you know, for help. Please help me, God, you know, in my family upbringing, Jesus. And I was in such desperation. Then all of a sudden, this huge light comes into my room, and with more than that, there was this feeling of unconditional love. It's you can't even, words are not enough to express. And inside that light, a figure materialized. And he talked to me for a long time. It seemed like a long time anyway. He told me, first of all, I was going to be okay, that everything I knew and could see at that point about my life would come true, and that I needed to get up in the morning and tell my mother it would be all right, we'd get it taken care of. And I had an important message to share with the world. And but most of all, it was that feeling of just being loved unconditionally, and I've had that experience a few more times subsequently in my life, when this being was so present it felt physical to me has come back. And so he said, we're going to tap you on the shoulder when it's time. We want you to grow up and live your life and do all the things that you see yourself doing, but you are going to be needed, and we're going to tap on your shoulder. So that's what happened. I grew up, studied in France, went to the University of Chicago, played in the symphony orchestra in Boston, did all of these things, had 4 kids, and then went into the world of banking, and all along studying metaphysical things like tarot, and because I could see things. I could see connections, I could see past lives, I could see auras and colors, and you just learn kind of not to talk about it, not in that world, like kind of what the rules were in my young life, what not to talk about it. And so I just kept at it, secretly studying metaphysics until 2003, when I got to that point where I kept feeling this tap on the shoulder, and I was like, who's back there? And there was nobody there. But that's what, I knew it was time. It was time to leave the known path and share my ability to see things, to make connections with people. And so I said, okay, I guess I'll do this. Well, it was more than that. I had a fit about it, a spiritual fit. And because I didn't want to do something that was so different from what I'd done. And so I actually had a spiritual fit. And I said, I'm not going to do this if I don't know who these teachers are. Who are these beings? And so that's when I saw the same energy again, came into my home. And he said, he came in pretty physical form. And he said, he had like a cloak on. He goes, I am the master of love and wisdom. Mm-hmm. And he opened his cloak, and I saw this symbol on his chest. And I later come to find out it's the energy of a being called, some people call him Master Katumi, who is one of the ascended masters. I kind of have a different take on, what it is I actually access. But from that point on, I knew that was my teacher. And that's why I have such a love for numerology, because he, at one point, some people think that he lived as Pythagoras, amongst other things. So that being has been kind of teaching me, it feels like to me, kind of from the inside out for years and years and years. And I still work with that energy, that master teacher.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. So can you tell us about what inspired you to create your film, Sacred Journey of the Heart?
Well, I've been working as a spiritual intuitive counselor and a numerologist, and taking people on equinox retreats in Sedona, Arizona, a beautiful place with lots of energies and vortexes and chakras and things. And I really liked to see what happened when we went away from the ordinary routines of life, when people would take time out from their kids and their jobs. A lot of transformation would happen, very deep transformation in a period of a weekend retreat, 4 or 5 days. And so I thought, well, let's go, put a film together so I can explain to people what happens when I take them on these retreats. I'm making fun of myself because it turned out to be a little bit different. And so I said, where do I want to start? Well, in 2005, from these beings that I work with, which are, I call them filaments of consciousness. I don't consider myself to be a channel of dead guys. I say every thought that's ever been created is there. Every single thought, every idea, every emotion. And I've just learned to hone into certain filaments of consciousness that would say this is the teaching and the master concepts of, for example, Pythagoras, who now I call Katumi, or of Saint Germain. These are the filament of consciousness that I access. So in 2005, I got the whole system in one fell swoop, that, not only do we have chakras, and I think 7 is an incomplete system. It's like playing a piano with the white keys only. because I've kind of located and see and identify and correlate with organ systems and acupuncture meridians, that we have 12. And the in-between 5 chromatic chakras are the spaces that people kind of come to work with people like myself and yourself about. So I channeled that the whole world has chakras too. And so I thought, let's do a series of movies about the earth chakras. Where do we start? We're going to start at the heart of what I saw was a system. Every single place, every country, your home, your body, everybody has a heart chakra. But I'm like, what's the big one? And I've really, what came to me was it's the system of the standing stones that have been around for a really long time, all the way up through Northern Ireland and Scotland, through the central hub of Stonehenge, and then down through Karnak and all the way into connections with Egypt and all over the world. So I was going to do this big project starting in Stonehenge, and that's where we started filming, with the overall message that we're going to look at all these big chakras, because as we walk in sacredness on these spaces where humans have come together and worshiped or meditated or prayed, the concept is we're reciprocally healing the earth as we're working on healing ourselves. So that was the origin. And then it turned into something else entirely.
Okay.
So, and here's something else.
Yeah. What did it end up being?
Well, it turned out to be, that was like, I'm a Leo. I think you might be a Leo too. So I have these great big projects that I'm going to like heal the whole world or work on the entire world chakra system. So we started filming, we got the crew together. That's when I got the nonprofit and raised all the funding for the film in the real short order. We started filming in Stonehenge, and then we did the whole workshops in England and all the places. And we came back and the film pieces started coming back from the editor. And I looked at it, I'm like, I can't do this movie, because I was going to, promote my work as well as bring other people in. And I look like this I'm talking about compassion and love and understanding, deer in the headlights, And so every time, this big leap concept, we're being asked to stretch ourselves, we can have an opportunity to see something deeper within. So instead of me showing what happened to people, this was the lens turned in towards me. So this is the individual journey of the heart, because I had to really go within and say, where am I not being authentic, and pull the project scope in to be kind of more mainstream so people could understand what does the healing journey really look like. So we actually had to take 2 years off. Was it 2 years? Well, it took us 2 more years to finish. And for me, it was about 11-month period where I said, stop everything. And that's where I met a lot of people that are in the film now. Colin Tipping, who created Radical Forgiveness, and the Heart Math people that you talked to, Roland McCready the other day, and Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza. All these people kind of came in after I had figured out what this movie was really about, and started to do my own work, and so I could show up authentically and talk about the things that are important to healing one's heart. And it's really it clear when you see the before and after pictures. And if you go to YouTube and you just put Ronna Prince before and after, you'll see the juxtaposition. This is what it looks like when you're trying to hope that no one notices you're scared to death, versus here's what it looks like when you're really in your heart. So it turned out to be, a film about a lot, the earth resonant field, like Dr. McCready talked about the other day, healing traditions, indigenous elders from around the world, and then my personal journey to healing from my childhood past.
So Ronna, can you tell us a little bit more about how you felt before you went on your own heart-based journey, before the movie kind of got turned around and focused on you, and then how you feel now in your life?
Well, I kind of pantomimed myself. I had come from the safe zone, at least from my experience, which is the head up. As long as I was talking about intellectual things, I was safe. And so I went to highly intellectually focused, the University of Chicago, and I studied in different places, and it was all about the head. And I kept thinking, I know something's a little bit wrong, and I wasn't feeling very much. I learned, like a lot of people do, and abuse is not just that happens to a few people. The statistics are 3 out of every 5 women and 1 out of every 5 men. So this is a global issue. It's not, just because I had an extreme experience, but that's what, how I was before. Very intellectual, but, completely, I'd say almost illiterate with emotions. You know, I didn't even know what those were about. So I had before was, living the concepts of the mind. And then after that process, I really had to go within. Then I felt more, integrated, more at ease with myself, not so much worried about how things look or, it was just more, it's more natural. And I think, and really connected from the heart and the head connection and understanding it. That's part of everybody's growing up, but I know what it feels without the emotional connection to oneself. And if you don't have it with yourself, you certainly can't really share it and give it with others. So it's been a profound transformation that I've experienced. And I can really teach it now. I was teaching a lot of intellectual stuff. Now I can really teach about the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting how being pushed outside of your comfort zone led you
Yeah.
to new discoveries, right?
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us then about the triple heart healing technique? How did you come up with this idea? And can you tell us a little bit about what supports the theories that are involved in it?
Well, I think to a certain extent is always synthesizing new ideas. You can say everything's been created is already out there, and you just put your own unique interpretation on it. So after the film, this would be called like the rest of the story. The film came out in 2012, and went around the world. We had, things happened. I didn't have any idea. I didn't even think that I was a filmmaker. But once the film went out, we were gotten film festivals and played in Tel Aviv and the Cannes Film Festival. And so I was sort of living and teaching those principles about radical forgiveness that you can learn all about in the film if you're not familiar with it. And then I realized I was doing workshops, and I realized it's still hard for people to get in to their hearts. So they would come in the workshop, and you go around, why are you here? And most people say, I want to be able to feel. I can't even feel my heart. Mm-hmm. So we had been doing certain techniques that went, right into heart opening. And I realized that there's a deeper energetic structure at work here. It's not just the physical heart. There's got to be an easier way. And as I mentioned, I come from a family of musicians, and I understand the chromatic scale. So I started looking into where did we come up with this chakra system. We've inherited from the East. Many, for the time, like one of your speakers said, at the time when that originated, that was all we could see. That was all we could conceptualize and know. And some of the people that have brought the concept into the West have said the chakra system will evolve. Now, really, there's 144,000 chakras in the body. But up until, the last few years, and everybody's kind of many people are coming at this at once, like another one of your speakers said, all of a sudden, everybody is inventing a new way to fly or a new way to look into the human body. But so I was looking at, why is it that people come to me for a few common reasons? They don't know how to access their intuition or their higher mind functions. They don't know how to connect with their life purpose. They have difficulty in relationship. And they have a difficult time standing up and being a leader and being authentic. These are all places that are in these in between. So for example, the gold chakra, which is life purpose, it's about a sense of deep sense of worthiness. That's between the yellow and the orange. It also regulates 90% of our immune system through the intestine. So I've made all these correlations, and you can find out more about them in my class that I teach on that. But when I realized that all these in-between places, and they all fall in between, like the turquoise is between the blue of the throat and the green of the heart chakra. There's this beautiful turquoise place, which is a gateway to opening ourselves more easily to the heart. So I call that the hidden heart of the high heart of willingness. Well, then we find out there's the thymus here, and we can activate it. And so that originally came about, I wanted to find an easier way for people to get into this heart work. Because I find okay, now let's go into the heart, let's do a heart meditation, there was a lot of heartache, and then people would get scared and they would stop. So I took my understanding and ability to see these 12 major centers that correlate to the 12 organ systems, to the 12 acupuncture meridians, to the 12 cranial nerves, and said this is a complete system now. When we work with all of it, we can access these like hidden or now revealed to other parts of our heart-based anatomy, and really use that to heal. It's controversial because people will say how you're bucking a system that comes from ages and ages and all these teachers. But, when you really think about it and you look into the correlations between the organ systems and the endocrine and the immune, I don't want to get into too much detail, but a lot of the chakra system teachings say these 7 major chakras correlate to the endocrine system. Okay, well, what's going on? We have all kinds of endocrine and autoimmune diseases. If you look at where the 5 chromatic chakras energetically connect to the body, there's a lot of connections with the immune system. The thymus, for example, all the what we call the ectomized things like tonsillectomy, appendectomy is in the olive chakra, hysterectomy, etc. These are all ectomized parts of the human body. These are the missing pieces of the anatomical chakra system. So I have a lot of research about it, and I find when people bring the consciousness of those things back, they can start to access the higher mind functions, which is not the third eye and it's not the throat. It's this whole energy system between here and here: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairgustance, clairaudience, and claircognizance. It's not in the third eye. So you turn the lights back on, and you can start to reclaim some of your talents and gifts.
Yeah, wonderful. It makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world. There is something between here and here that matters.
Yeah. Great big chakra system about accessing these higher gifts. And when I'm accessing consciousness, which is both within and without, it comes through right back here. It's not the third eye for me. I mean, I use that for other things, but yeah, there's a whole lot more to it. So that's a common thing people say. Well, can I turn that switch back on? Yes, you can. First, you got to locate where the switch is. So
right.
Yeah.
So can you show us a sample of how it works?
Yeah. Let me just say that I want to do this with the music. I had some music specifically composed for me by this wonderful man, Elio. He's a composer in Australia. So I said, I want the music to be in this specific frequency, because my work, when my big switch went on at 13 and this being came in, I understand and can translate frequency and sound and see things. So I knew that, this is when we open our hearts and we get really involved, our emotions can come up a lot more as with music. So I'm going to try to do this with my music attached. So just a second. Here we go. So I'm going to put on this piece. The music is tuned to 444 hertz, not 440, but 444. It's a really interesting thing. I won't go into the theory of that because it connects with color angstrom and hertz frequencies. So when we do that, we land right into the heart tonality at 428 hertz. And that's known as, and studied by a lot of people, known as the DNA and the heart repair frequency. So when I had Elio tune his music to do this, he specifically said, okay, I'm going to put this frequency at the heart healing. So it's imbued with 428 heart healing frequencies as we do this. So let me explain what we use this for is getting into the heart and being able to move the energy of stuck emotions. So we have the regular heart, we've got the high heart that I referred to, which is this turquoise center, which is the thymus. It has a lot to do with our immune system. And then the low heart is the coral chakra between the red and the orange. It's this beautiful coral chakra, and that's the chakra that develops between 7 and 13. And it's all about interdependence. You're learning the lessons in those times, really from birth until 13. Can I trust the world? Can I be interdependent and respected? And so when that doesn't happen so well, that life lesson kind of gets lodged and stuck in what I call the low heart. There's the organ correlations are the uterus for women and the prostate in men. So there's a lot of physiological issues with those organs with lots and lots of people today. So when we do the triple heart work, we're accessing those 3 hearts: the regular heart, the high heart, which is the thymus, the low heart, the between the red and the orange, so just below the navel. And then there's a series of statements, and we're using this to move a certain emotional stuckness. And so I'm going to use the example of confusion. And that's very common, that people are confused. They don't know what to do. They're confused, or they're afraid about the future. So in this short experience I'm going to share with you to demonstrate how it works, we're going to specifically intend to move the energy of confusion into just a sense of assuredness. So that's just the sense, you know, it's okay, all is going to be well. Because if you think of the times of turmoil in your life, at some point it worked out, right? So we know this, and it's just helpful to move that stuck energy through the body and use this hidden, now no longer hidden, the chromatic chakra energy centers to help move it. So I'll probably be referring to, you know, placing the hands and doing things, because we interact physically with ourselves, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually on all levels to this. And we've got the vibration and sound at 420 hertz. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So let me get this going, and you'll get to experience how it feels. All right, so we want to just take a deep breath. It always helps to kind of center into the body, bringing the energy of the earth up through the feet. It's a receptive grounding just to begin. And when we do a triple heart process, we start by placing one of our hands on over the thymus. This is called the high heart of willingness. So as we begin this process, we're just in a state of openness and receptivity, and we're touching the high heart. Some people like to tap on their thymus and just say, I am willing. I'm willing today to move this energy of confusion about what to do, the next steps to take. Just willing to feel that a little bit, willing to tap into it and then let it go. As we breathe into that high heart with the creative energy, sometimes a creation sound of just letting the breath move in and out, and taking the attention and focus from that high heart, just above the heart, dropping all the way down, breathing past the diaphragm into a space just below the navel. Allowing ourselves to just feel a little bit that confusion or anxiety. And then if you feel so inclined, you can even place one of your hands up just below the navel as we activate what I call the low heart, the heart of letting go, the low heart of acceptance. And in this place, with our attention focused on that low heart, we can start to activate the low heart of letting go. And we start this by saying, I accept all that I am. I accept this confusion and insecurity. I accept all that I am. And I'm willing to forgive myself for everything that I've done to contribute to this confusion and anxiety. And I'm willing to accept and forgive things that others have done to contribute to this feeling. And in that acceptance and that letting go, I am at peace. And then we can move our focus into the center of our being, our heart. As we assure ourselves, we are moving into the heart of forgiveness. The statements, I am letting go. I am. I am forgiving. I am love. I am love creating. And you might see symbols or see yourself proceeding into activities and behaviors with assuredness and calm. Remembering how it feels. All is well. All is well. And we end with this beautiful inner smile and the sense of completion. that it's already done. We have clarity and assuredness that all is well. And as you feel that smile come from the inside out, know that the work is already done. All right.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. It's going to fade it out. But yeah, so it's a combination, as you see, with sort of hand positions and breathing, and the audios and the recordings are all available, but that's just a sample of it. Did you feel a little bit of a shift while we did that?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did, definitely.
Yes.
And I'm sure it would be even more so in a longer session with you.
Yeah, and a lot of what I do, I like to provide the teaching around it so that people aren't in these perpetual long programs, and then where to take it, because I have 3 examples about forgiveness and acceptance and moving different energies, and people ask me, well, where are we moving it? And we do the workshops and the longer sessions. We're moving it up and out of the body. We're just really letting that emotion of stuckness move out. So it's but it's really something you can use yourself every day in any situation, where there's confusion or anxiety or sadness. It's a very powerful process. And in part, I have Colin Tipping of Radical Forgiveness to thank for this, because as he taught me, you can't heal what you don't feel. So it's the willingness to just touch into that for a moment and then shift it with consciousness and with acceptance.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Now, there's another aspect that you've shared with me a little bit, the soul codes. Can you share with our listeners about that and how you would use that in your sessions with clients?
Now, it's another thing that I've synthesized using the system called Aura-Soma. And if you see these little bottles that are behind me, maybe hard to see, but it comes from the UK. It's a system that uses light and color and the infusion of plants and crystals and all kinds of things in these little bottles that you actually get and shake up and use. But this system corresponds to everything I ever studied in metaphysics. So they have bottle has a number from 0 to 114 now. It has a name, has indications for every level of our consciousness. It connects with tarot, Kabbalah, I Ching, astrology. So it's the most interconnected single modality that I've ever found. So I started studying that in 2005 when I saw these little bottles, and I was like a moth to the flame. And so through the power of the symbology that goes through all of these archetypal systems, I use that as a foundation. And so with my clients, what I understand through lots and lots of years of practice and study is number and vibration are the essence of everything. I teach this in another one of my classes called the 12 Universal Laws, where again, we go through, here's the missing laws. Law of attraction just stops at 7. That's the 7th law, kind of interesting, like the 7 chakras. There's a whole bunch of more higher operative laws beyond that. So things like our name and our birth date are things that as a soul that we choose, and there's really no exception. I've had people test me on everything. Well, I was adopted, I had a planned cesarean, I had this, that. There's no exception. The soul really knows what it's incarnating into. And so, like, can I share your numerology just a little tiny bit? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, so I know that your birth date is a 44. Okay, that's a master number. If you talk to a traditional numerologist, they're going to go 4 + 4 is 8. You're an 8. Okay, 8 people are good at balancing things in the spiritual world and the physical world. I like to look at that 44. And what does that really mean? Well, the number 44 in Aura-Soma is called the guardian angel comes to earth. So it's like your spirit comes in as the guardian from these other planes, and it's come here to really be on earth and help facilitate the balancing of spirituality in everyday life. So, that it kind of makes sense that you're doing what you're doing. And I find this all the time. So with my clients, I know that our souls communicate more all the time through vibration, number, geometry, symbol. So I ask my clients, we get in a balanced state, and we start with that receptive grounding, like for example, with the work I do, you know, people think they're going to ground and they go like this, I'm grounding, I'm sending things into the earth. I'm like, okay, what about that we are here on earth by gravity? So let's just be receptive, especially we women, let the energy come into the body. So we ground, we get the soul sort of all connected, we get all into the heart. And I say, now give me a series of, you know, 5, 6, 7 numbers, because that is a pure communication from your soul. So that is your soul. Is good. If your soul could tell you, you know, go to the corner and, you know, and get this, or pick up the phone and call that person, it would be doing it. But it communicates in a different form, I believe. In part, and the way the gift I was given starting back at 13 was to be able to understand that. And then I was made this connection with Orasoma back here that provides this beautiful structure for it. So people will come up with the code. Now, some people go, I don't know, I can't think of it. So I said, well, there's another tool we have called the random number generator, which is not random at all. But this would go into the science on the order of things that some other people could explain better. But the random number generator takes everything in the intention of a session and what's going on in your life. And we set up the parameters, give me 5 numbers. From 0 to 115, I'm usually using these days. You set those up and then you say, go, and you get these numbers. And every single time, without exception, this is the code coming directly from you. So all I do is decode it. So what I thought would be fun in preparation for our interview was to say, you know, I know there's a consciousness for Mother Earth. I know there's a consciousness for, you know, myself, for individual people. There's archetypal consciousness for everything. So I got into my grounded state and I asked, can we get a code for Mother Earth for this summit? And so I hit set up my non-random generator and I hit go and I got 5 numbers. And let me see if I can show you the numbers. Let's see. Can you see these?
Yeah. Yep. I can see them.
So everybody's seeing this. It's time stamped. You know, it says what day I decided to do this on the 13th of February. And I got these fantastic numbers. You could get anything from 0 to, you know, 114. So I got this 11, 115, 99, 109, and 111. So just like I would do for a person, then I get quiet and I say, well, what does this mean? You know, 11, a lot of people understand that 11 or 11, 11. We got a lot of ones in that code. 11 is always about a choice. And it's about a choice to open up and go deeper into the temple of the soul, or the pure place of consciousness, or take that 1 and 1 and collapse it back down. Say, I'm not going there. So it's the 11 is always a choice about that. And so then, you know, the code goes on from there. And what I did here, all these 5 numbers add up to this number 445. I know somebody who has a 44 in her name, in her birthday. Here's a code from Mother Earth that says 44 and 5. And 5 is a symbol that's always been associated with human beings. So here's the guardian angel comes to Earth, 44, to communicate something to the collective consciousness of human beings, and plus a lot more in your summit. So I think it'd be fun. I can just share with you how, you know, then I get quiet and I listen to certain things. Oh, I wanted to share one other thing, because then I listen to see how does this get translated. Okay. So I'll start hearing, and I'll hear the translation through my master teacher, Katumi, who some people think of as Pythagoras, and I translate it with Pythagorean numerology. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. So I said, what does this code mean for the summit and for Mother Earth? So the first thing, it comes out as a long sentence. It starts as, I am presence of Mother Earth's compassion and caring of conscious evolving beings, sacred journey of the heart. That is the totality. That equals exactly 445. Sacred Journey of the Heart. I know that one really well because that's the title of my movie that I specifically coded to be 111. Remember, the last number out there was 111. So there's another little interesting part in there, because conscious evolving beings, that's a 96. Some people associate that with the Archangel Raphael, and other people's soul purpose that might resonate to 96 as being helping people heal, to understand the totality. I thought you might like that one. So that's one thing. And then I said, well, how, Mother Earth, what is the practical application through this code? She's telling us a lot of things with this code. So I said, give me another one that resonates exactly to 445. So she said, this is the practical application instructions. Here they are. This is what she says. Please connect act with loving kindness, create with care, nurture consciousness. So you put that in Pythagorean numerology, and that's the same thing I'll do with people's soul codes. I'll say this is really how it vibrates and connects to this particular theme. And then the third part of the session that I'll do with people, if they're interested, is I will bring through a message through a filament of consciousness, maybe, you know, Mother Mary or Saint Germain or Katumi or any of those. And so so that's what I do with the soul codes. And then people understand, you know, why things are the way they are. The first 4 codes tell us what the energy is all about. The 5th one is the next step. So we get a whole bunch of information in the soul codes. We'll do karmic healing of past lives. If there's a past life that needs to be healed, it will absolutely show up in that code. I don't have to guess. It's all there. So we'll do past life healing. We'll do chakra energy balancing. If there's an imbalance, it'll be in that numerical code. So it's a magical process. And after I'm done, especially if I do some you know, bringing in this other dimensional consciousness, there's one word, especially the first time I work with people, there's one word that comes out every time. And the word is wow. Because it kind of pulls everything together in a way that you know, is different and it's unique, and you know you're getting your own soul's message. And I have that over and over and over again. It happens with my clients and in sessions. And so it's really my passion. You can probably tell when I talk about codes and numbers, but it really all comes down to profound heart and spiritual healing, and then knowing what do I do next, because your soul also is right there telling you that. So it's really fun. I love doing it.
Yeah, that is really incredible. And when you shared, you know, the numbers that you got for my name and for the
Yeah.
Mother Earth with me yesterday as we were emailing, it was just incredible because it really resonates with exactly what's happening.
It does, and it's always that way. And a lot of times people will, you know, pick the bottles or the colors of the numbers, and I'm like, their life path of their name or their birthday, it shows up right there, and people say, how did you know that? I didn't know it. You know it. Everybody always knows that from the soul level what they're doing. And what this process helps is just remember what you already know and understand why things are happening the way they are, and then make a choice to shift it. So
yeah, and I think that's so important that we already know. It's already inside of us.
It is.
We can just trust that.
Yeah.
It can really help with, you know, with
that's why I call it the power. It's so, for me, it's, you know, easy to see when I see people what's going on, but then when you see it reflected back, because this is your code and this is your soul speaking to you, I have another phrase I use called the power of conscious love. And that equals 114. The consonants are 57, the vowels are 57. So it's a balancing phrase. 5 is the number of human beings, 7 is the spiritual consciousness. So that's my work, is really about consciousness. You know, how do we make, for the first time in a long time, conscious decisions about the evolution of our soul, instead of just like go along and hope for the best and say things like, I hope this is my last lifetime. My favorite thing to say is, I hope I get to come back here and do it again. Because when you awaken to the beauty that's here on earth, to, you know, your own life path, and you get it, this is a wonderful place to be. I don't want this to be my last lifetime. I love it here. So, you know, that's an old paradigm belief. Like, if you perfected things here, you don't have to come back. There's lots of beings from other places and spaces that want to be here. So one of the reasons our population is growing in a positive sense. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, really beautiful. So if people want to connect with you more, want to set up a session with you, or purchase the music like what you played today, what do you recommend? Where can they go? And I will, and so you can reference it. I will have the links, you know, below the interview here, so people can easily click through. But
it's just on sacredjourneyoftheheart.com and of the heart, and that's really specific again because it's a 111 vibration. So you can, you know, look in the store, and I have some specials. And if you want to understand the universal laws of consciousness and how you go beyond the 7th law, attraction, that's probably my biggest, most comprehensive teaching. And I like to just make it accessible. You don't have to wait for the next workshop or go somewhere. Just get online and listen and learn. And all of my workshops have, you know, practical suggestions, handouts, downloads, so that people can start applying it in their daily life.
Wonderful. And also, if people want to check out your film, they can do that from your website as well, right?
Yeah, from my website and the link that goes to Gaia TV, we got a distribution from the perfect partner after I quit pushing the boulder up the hill, but finally, we got it in the right place. So I'm really excited about that with Gaia. So
Yeah.
Gaia TV, how about that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and that offer is also listed right here on this page below the
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ronna, for sharing all of this. It has been really beautiful. Thank you so much for being a part of the summit.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's been wonderful to see the people from all over the world and the speakers you've gathered and the message that we really are one. So can I share the prayer that I got from that code?
Absolutely.
The final parting words. These are actually the 445 soul code of Mother Earth. She has a prayer to say. The Calibrist of 445. She says, "My beloved human beings, in the name of the One, I pray for healings, forgiveness, awakening, and love. Thank you. Amen." And that's exactly the sum total of those 5 codes that Mother Earth communicated to me. So thank you, Jocelyn, for this wonderful group of people you brought together. I really appreciate being part of it.
Yeah, wonderful. So glad to have you as a part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.